All right, today I want to be giving my top 5 players in Black Ops 6. And starting off, I'm not going to lie, number 5, it's going to be a weird one. Some might like it, some might not. I'm going to go with my boy Mercules, okay? Now, hear me out, hear me out. There's a couple of players here that I could have put in, you know what I'm saying? I'll be honest, there's a couple of players I could have put in here, okay? And we're going to go through it. Before you guys get angry, some may get happy, but there's a few people I wanted to give a shout out to that aren't going to make the list, but I had to go through, okay? Neptune is absolutely the next on the list, and then like Joe Deceives and Rencor, okay? These players are like for sure up there, okay? But the reason I went with Mercules is because from his sample size, the guy were in 3 events, okay? This is 3 events he had, right? He had 3rd, 4th, 1st. So that was his sample size. As a pro, in 3 events, he was 3rd, 4th, and 1st. In his first event with Toronto, he actually played very well, where people were kind of like, it's a system thing. He played very well. Optics event, he played very well. He still played really well when they finished 4th, and it was like a breath of fresh air. They lost to FaZe and Thieves. Like, I think it was Thieves, but they lost to FaZe and Thieves or something like that. But he played great. Champs, he was overall the MVP. Now, to get MVP in your first ever champs and to win it, and he also just transformed this team into a new level that they were not playing at before. I have to put him in my top 5, and it's crazy. Okay, now if Rencor or Neptune were able to maybe sneak one win in, let's say EWC for example, and Mercules doesn't have a great EWC, I'm more than okay to concede 5th place to one of those two. I think that's more than fair. I think they had they had like an extra major or 2. I think they probably both had like an extra, because this was major like 3 and 4 and then champs, right? So they definitely had like major 1/2. I think maybe just one of them extra, whatever. But the point is, like, they definitely had a great impact on the teams, both of them, Rencor and Neptune. I just think what Mercules did, again, bro, winning champs like that was something we haven't really seen since Simp in Black Ops 4. And I have to include it, because from what we've seen, the sample size, which I still think is pretty decent, 3 majors, 3 events, like, he has been godlike. He's been unbelievable. So I have to put him there. I have to put him in number 5. Okay, so number 5 is going to be that boy Mercules. Again, this list changes all the time. This is my list right now. I'm thinking about it. I literally spent 20 seconds getting the videos up and thinking, right, who's in my list? Then we will go over to number 4. And number 4 is going to be Mr. Simp. Okay, so in terms of why is he number 4, why is he not lower or higher? A few things. Okay, the first thing I wanted to mention was, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a 1v4 against Miami. That 1v4, I would say, was probably the most important part of this season. That and maybe the Mercury signing were together. Actually, no, Mercury signing and that for sure are the most important. Whatever one you want to weigh more, cool. The reason why that 1v4 was so important is because they were getting shit on online. FaZe were getting fried. Then that 1v4, I don't know what happened. They just somehow flipped the switch and they went insane. They end up winning the next 2 majors. So they end up winning major 1 and major 2, just like that. And they also went into the finals, I believe, major 4. Okay, so they were in 3 grand finals and they won 2 of them. Now I will say one thing: major 1 finals, they did go to round 11 and they end up just winning it, right? Round 11 just winning it. So that is a variable you have to consider. Just in general, I will say that I think that Simp himself had a great year. The reason I can't put him any higher than 4 is because, like, bro, he just had a terrible champs. He had a terrible champs. They fell flat. But overall, he had a good year. So it's one of those where he has to go in my top 5 for me. I see people saying like MVP stuff. Like, for me, bro, he can't be an MVP. He wasn't MVP this year. I think it has to be Scrapper Hydra, like, in my opinion. Like, I don't see a world where Simple's MVP over them. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's me being a bit weird, but like, I don't know. He was great. Definitely top 4, top 5 player. I don't think he was MVP this year. So for me, Simp is going to be number 4, and here's what it is. Then we go over to his teammate at number 3. And I think personally that this was Selim's one of his best years. And it was just the consistency he displayed, bro. His consistency was on a level that it was unbelievable, bro. During that stretch of 2 majors, his positioning, his like overall, like what he did for his team, I think he did at a level that it was a different level. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was S tier, bro. He was doing things for like FaZe in terms of like, he was just Yeah, he was unbelievable for FaZe this year, man. I think he was super good. I think he was their best player for sure, man. So when I look at this, like Celium this year, I think he's adjusted his pacing. You know, last year he was getting criticism of being a bit too slow. I think this year he really found that balance, and he found a perfect kind of blend of like just. I remember those times where like this guy was a walking like 2 KD, bro, which is crazy. But at the same time, he just plays his life so well so many times, and he makes it so difficult for opponents to set up that even though he's putting the damage and getting the KD, I think what he does on the map as well is actually super annoying to play against for people. And I think it's something you can't really see, but I appreciate watching him and like what he does as a team. Just from playing the game, I can just imagine how valuable he is to the team. You know what I'm saying? So I really, really like Celium's playstyle this year. I think he did a great job of just upping the pacing slightly. You're seeing it right now. Like, I know it's a random rank play clip, but you know, as he ups the pacing a bit more, you can see that's what his general playstyle was this year. He was a bit more aggressive, and I think it just helped them out. They just fell flat at champs. Maybe EWC they'll bounce back, but for me, he's definitely going to be number 3. Then we go over to number 2, and it's going to be the actual MVP of the year. It's going to be the MVP of the year. It's going to be Scrappy. So he got MVP in the actual rankings, and I've actually in the past said that he was my MVP too. I think he was my number 1. But I do go back and forward between him and, I mean, I'm just going to ruin it, Hydra. I think for me, it really is a flip of a coin, and it depends on how I'm looking at Call of Duty on that day. And I just think that as an AR, his role and what he did, if this is like Scrap, right? And this is time, okay? So this is time. And this is his level, okay? This is his level as a player. For most people, you want to get to this level, like as your floor. Scrap's floor is like there. Like Scrap was always playing like this, right? So for me, he has to be top 2 because his floor was so much higher. He's just overall floor as a player was crazy godlike. Like, I think he played super well this year, and I can't fault how good he was, in my opinion. I really can't. I can't fault how good he was. I think he just played such a high level of Call of Duty. They won 2 majors. They lost in the grand finals of the first major 1. So they literally were involved in 3 grand finals. They were the most dominant team all year long overall. And they had a flat champs, but besides that, they were by far the most dominant team. Like, no doubt in my mind, they were more dominant than FaZe. Their online qualifiers were ruthless. They had about 2 flat majors. I would say they had 2 flat majors, champs and major 3. I think it was major 3, but there was one of the majors where FaZe, actually, maybe major 2. I can't remember. There was a couple of majors where they played a little bit flat, and they like lost to Boston and lose and stuff like that. So they definitely had a few majors where they were a bit flat, but overall they were just the best team in the game, online and online. I think their peak was unbelievable. And yeah, man, I think Scrap is number 2 for me. And I kind of mentioned it already, but number 1 is just Hydra. I think if you even look at the stats overall, the fact that they had the same KD, for me as a sub is just more impressive. Again, you see it here. Joe had the same KD as well, and Shotzi had the same KD. But like the way Hydra plays as well, and even Shotzi, to be fair, to have that KD is pretty typical. I just feel like it's crazy. The fact that like I'm not looking at just KD, by the way. KD is like one of the least variables I look at overall. I look at so many other variables. Hook was impressive. Yeah, that's actually typical from Hook as well. Hook is someone I definitely should have considered. Not on my top 5, but if I was doing a top 10 list, like Hook probably flies in there because he was, I feel like, undervalued this year. Like, he wasn't involved in Optic's bad areas, but I think he got a bad reputation because of how Optic played bad this year, most of it. But he was actually not involved in that. He was involved in the good parts of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was actually him. But Hydra, I think, like I said, split of a hair between him and Scrap, who I'd pick for number 1. I think you could put both of them and you wouldn't be wrong. You know, that's how they both played. I just think for me, right now, when I'm looking at it, again, I changed my mind. I literally had this argument maybe a week ago, and I said, yep, Scrap for me. But I think the reason I'm going with Hydra right now as I make this list is just because his role and the impact he has on the map is one where when he plays well, it is going to really punish the other team to a different level. And like, the SMG role is one of those where you want your SMG, like if you could choose one player to be taken over the map, you kind of want it to be a sub because that impact player is so important on the map. And I feel like he hits that stride so much, you know? And I also think that the way he plays the game, the nerdy stuff and the timing stuff he does, I think is super undervalued, and the way he studies the game and stuff. Like, you always hear coaches talk about him, but he is actually a very smart player. He's not just flashy, runs around, kills. Like, no, he is very smart. He's very disciplined in certain areas. He does a lot of nerdy stuff with the nade spots, his lines of sights, his just everything, man. And you hardly see, I don't see Hydra have like bad maps often. Like, I always think this guy, he's taking over. Like, he just has such a takeover potential. He's scary, man. He's scary. I think he was probably overall the best SMG in the game. I'd say Scrap is the best AR in the game. And that's why people are kind of like, you know, it was a bit flat for them not to win champs or even compete, man. They should have been in the grand final. Like, no one expected Optic to win. They were top team the whole year long, and then they had a terrible champ. So let's see if they bounce back for EWC. But yeah, for me, Scrap, Hydra, definitely top 2. You could either flip of a coin. So my top 5 is going to be Mercury's number 5. Again, you could argue maybe Neptune, Joe Deceive, Rancor. I wouldn't really mind any of those answers. I went Mercury just because the impact he had in such a quick time. And they end up winning champs as well. So I think that weighs a bit more for me. Number 4 is going to be Simp. Number 3 is going to be Celium. Number 2 is going to be Scrap. Number 1 is going to be Hydra. Again, there's definitely players you could probably move around there. I think the Mercury's one is probably the one I was a little bit, I would say, rash on in terms of like, there's not enough time. So if he wasn't in the top 5, I would also be okay with it. But for me, I think he's warranted. It's a cheeky one. I'll be real. It's a cheeky one to put him in top 5. I mean, he just literally joined the league, but I think the impact he had was just so electrifying. It was very similar to Neptune, maybe better, but he won an event as well, the biggest event of the year. So it's like, not only did he bring his team up, they won the event, you know. So for me, that's got a lot of weighting, man. And it's champs, bro. They're winning champs is crazy. So the only reason I'm a bit like skeptical now is because if I put Mercules there, like Loki Hook would have probably had a better year than Mercules because he also played good before Mercules came. So I think that's a little bit injustice to Hook, so I want to give a special shout out to Hook as well because I think he did really well. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe, let me know down below what do you guys think your top 5 players were and who you guys excited for EWC, what type of videos you want to see, and I'll catch you guys from tomorrow. Peace.